Hey y'all from Spindle Mountain Mercantile. I am Heather. Welcome to my mama's house where we are celebrating Iron Orchid Designs 2025 Christmas release. Hi Mama.
Welcome to my house.
You have a very pretty house. Here's her house real quick. It's messy because I brought all my stuff over here and we are working.
Show them what I look like when I was young.
Oh. I remember when she had this commission and I'm like, that guy didn't even outline you. She said it's an impressionist painting. She had that dress. I remember it was purple velvet. We had antique cars and we went on antique car tours. Project number 1. Okay, Mama. What you gonna make?
I'm gonna use clay and make some molds.
Oh, have you ever done that before?
No, I've never done it.
Do you think you can do it?
Of course I can do it.
Yes, you can.
If you can do it, I can do it.
Whatever. All right, let's get going. Behold Victoriana, one of IOD's new Christmas molds. This one has all the things, and my mama is going to make several different designs using IOD's air dry clay. She'll use Titebond Quick and Thick to attach them to some paper mache ornaments. Tell us where you got these ornaments.
I got them at Hobby Lobby. They were 40% off, so I paid about $1 for them. And we're gonna make them worth a small fortune.
The first time I use Iron Orchid Designs, I always use cornstarch. This helps the clay release easier from the mold. After spreading it around in your design with a paintbrush, turn it over and give it a good tap on your table to get rid of the excess cornstarch. Mama took some clay and rolled it between the palms of her hands and then pressed it into the first design she wanted. IOD has a micro rim around every design. It's just this little ridge that makes sure you have smooth, level backs of your molds. You can rub your finger across it, or like my mama is, you can use a transfer stick. You can also use something like a knife or a credit card. Sometimes newbies get a little nervous putting all of the clay in different designs at the same time, but my mama was bold and she went for it. One of them did get just a little bit messed up, so we had to redo it, but everything else came out great. Sometimes if they don't come out on their own, you might want to start them just a little bit with your fingernail and just work them out. I don't think we got quite enough cornstarch in this little angel, but it did come out in one piece. It just took a little bit of doing. She was worried about the birds, but even those little tiny birds just popped right out. Mama did a great job. Next, she applied Titebond Quick and Thick to the back of each mold, one at a time, and applied them while they were still wet to each side of her ornament. When she put the glue on, she used her finger to spread it around. You can also use a brush if you don't want to get so much glue on your hands. When you watch this whole video, though, you're going to see why I'm so messy. The apple did not fall far from the tree. My mama and I got quite a collection of mess by the end of these 5 projects. But you know what? We had a really good time and we made some wonderful things for Christmas. We really, really are impressed with this year's Christmas release from IOD. I am so impressed with my mom because look at this technique. I have never shown her this. And I don't do it. She put her ornament on top of the back of her mold instead of putting the mold on top of the ornament. And then she flipped it over. It was genius. My mother is brilliant. I wonder if the apple falls far from the brilliant tree. Oh, I forgot to tell you. She painted the ornament with white acrylic paint. When she was sure the glue was dry, she applied Debbie's Design Diary clear wax with a light touch and a soft brush because the molds still aren't all the way dry. She used a soft, damp paper towel to wipe off the excess clear wax and let that dry, hanging it up overnight. The next day, she applied Debbie's black wax with another brush, and then she wiped it back with a soft towel. When you use the clear wax first and let it dry, Then you add the dark wax. You can pull back more of the dark wax. If you don't put that clear wax, the dark is going to go down into those crevices and look very, very dark. She found out that if she put the towel around the ornament while she wiped it, she didn't smear as much of the smooth parts with her fingers. And that was such a great idea. She is teaching me today, I'm telling you. You'll notice that I have to keep moving my camera because sometimes she forgets to put her ornaments underneath where the screen is viewing. But she's learning. This was her idea. She said, you know, those YouTubers always put some kind of greenery on their ornaments or anything that hangs. And I was like, oh my goodness, you're absolutely right. I just don't think of those things. But Mama does. We used a blow dryer on the high heat setting to remove the strings of glue stick. Then I brought the ornament home because I forgot to take the silver rub and buff to Mama's house. I just put it on my fingertip and rubbed it along all of the ridges in various places. Then I took kind of a fat brush that I don't care a lot about, and I just used that to spread it out. I made sure to put a lot more down in the corners because that's kind of where it would naturally pool if it was silver that just ran down the sides of the ornament. I'll tell you what, I was so impressed with this ornament. I did not have any idea it was going to look like this. I usually use dark wax or brown wax, and I never once thought of putting silver with this. That was Mom's idea too. Look how beautiful this turned out. Project number 2. When IOD shared the previews of these transfers with their stockists, we all let out a collective squeal because they are spectacular. The first 2 I'm using today are Santa's Hollow and Christmas Joy. They have a lot of old-timey pictures and fun greenery. And then we have my favorite, Partridge Lane. It's full of designs depicting the 12 days of Christmas and row houses. Y'all, some of those row houses, they're old-timey bookstores. Oh, be still my heart. I'm fairly certain every vintage booth owner in the history of time has had many of these pictures. I know I have several, and so has Bailey over at Reclaimed Grace. Last year, she zhuzhed one up for fall, and she inspired me to do one for Christmas. In the description, I will leave a link for that video. Get on over there and subscribe to Bailey. She is a fantastic creator, and Bailey, thank you for the inspiration. I started by covering up the daisies in the foreground. To do this, I might have done better by painting underneath the transfer, but I just didn't think of that. The daisies did show through just a little bit, but that's okay. There's a fix. Applying IOD transfers is super easy. Just cut out the transfer and place it where you want it. Then give it a little rub with your hand to give it that initial stick. Next, use your transfer stick. One of those comes with every IOD transfer book, and rub the entire surface of your transfer. Then use your other hand to gently pull back the carrier sheet as you rub where it's pulling from your object. When you're done, use the carrier sheet to gently rub the top of the transfer. That's called burnishing, and it just makes sure it's stuck everywhere. There was a little bit of daisy showing through the transfer, so I found some greenery that matched the Yuletide greeting sign, and I added that over where the daisies were showing. Problem solved. Next, I cut out a church to put in the background over the European-style house. I wanted to make sure that I didn't put the church over the branches because that tree is on this side of the water and that would just look wonky. So I moved it around a little bit here and there. And then I did the same thing with the parsonage. See that tree at the bottom? It was really hard to avoid. So you'll see what I did to fix that later. The chimney was in the wrong place to put behind the branches, so I just cut it off and I put it back on the other side. The smoke was also interfering with the tree limb, so I just cut that right off of the chimney and then I repositioned it so it's kind of going up instead of to the side. I think it looks really good. You can't even tell what I did. The original house had another chimney that kind of stuck up out of nowhere and looked very awkward when I started putting the church down. So I cut off the top of one of the trees from another picture and just put it right over that. I didn't worry about what the bottom looked like because I knew my church would be there. Next, I applied the church and it worked out so perfect. Those branches just go almost all the way to the steeple, but not quite. I worked on this a couple of years ago when I first started crafting, and I did a blending technique I had never tried, and I was so proud of myself because the frame looked awesome, but I broke the glass. Well, now that I dug it back out, because I have this great idea, I just used some red acrylic paint my mom had. I think it's apple barrel, and I very lightly used it on the top of the relief design that's on both sides of the frame. So I just kind of rubbed my brush atop that and it turned out really good. It was still bright enough. Because it's acrylic paint, I don't have to seal it. Because I broke the glass, I have to have an excuse of why I don't really need it. So I had my mama pick up some Snow Tex at Hobby Lobby. This stuff is amazing. I just took a paintbrush and painted Snow Tex on the places where I thought snow would pile up. So if the branch is going down, I didn't put it on the part that's pointing down. I only put it on the level surfaces so it would look just like natural snow. Then I went back, dipped my brush in the Snow Tex again, and got a big glob of Snow Tex on the brush. And I just kind of pounced that all over, and I did that quite a bit. I went back and forth until I got it to the point where I thought it looked more natural. I found this on Amazon for a pretty good price, so I'll leave a link for that in the description. If you buy anything from Amazon, when you use my link to get there, they will give me a small compensation, but it won't change your price. I put some of the Snow Tex on the grass behind the lake, and I thought at the end, you know what? I think this parsonage needs a little path going to the church. So I just took my finger and wiped back some of that part where the Snow Tex was, and I made the path. Then I went back again and filled it in, and this is where I took the Snow Tex and put it over that branch that's right on the left-hand side where the red building is. And I did that because it just looked kind of awkward where it was in the foreground and the house is in the background, and I kind of made it disappear. So that worked out perfectly. I also added a little bit of the Snow Tex on the top of the house and the church and some of the trees. I adore how this turned out, and one of the things that's the coolest about it is when other vintage booth owners see it, they're going to know exactly what it is, and they're going to want to run home and make some of their own. Thanks again, Bailey. project number 3. In the description, I'm leaving a link for this video I did a while back. That way you can learn what I did with this organ. Today, we're going to use the stops. That's what these are called, right here above the keyboard. My sweet husband figured out how to get them out, and I was telling my mama about it, and I said, I pulled out all the things that make the different sounds on the organ. She said, do you mean the stops? And I said, yeah, Mom, I pulled out all the stops. And she was like, no, that's what they're called. I was like, what the dickens you say? I grew up playing a pump organ and I didn't know they were called that. And you know what else? Neither did my sweet husband. And he was a linguist in the military. So he was quite impressed with my mom. She always says it's a good day when you learn something new. So thanks, Mom. We decided these need to hang on a tree with the word part facing up. So we had to take those words off, and they were just kind of glued on with this little, I don't know what, a tab, and it had a piece of plastic over the top. So we could only get them out with a razor blade. So be careful when you do that. All right, please. Don't cut yourself because of me or any other reason. Well, anyway, I digress. I used my Titebond Quick and Thick and just turned them so you could read them if they were standing upright. They were at a different slant when they were in the organ, so they were pointing a different way to read them there. First, I tried one of the houses. Now, I tore it just a little bit, and I thought about putting something over it to cover that up, and then I thought, you know what, this pump organ's like 100 and something years old. I think that's okay if something on it is also looks like it's 100 years old. For the next stop, I started with some Figgy and Flourish transfer. This year, IOD outdid themselves with their gilded transfer. They included 4 pages of gold and 4 pages of silver. For this project, I cut out a few different designs and I just laid them down on the stops and rubbed little bits at a time. Sometimes I might use the whole design, other times I used just little pieces of it. If there was any left, I just used those in random places. On this one, I used a piece of holly that has some berries. I went back around and added a little bit more gold when I was done, and I didn't think this one needed anything else. I used a pretty big drill bit to drill a hole right through the top underneath where the tag is. And through that, I just used some twine that looks really old and tied it in a knot at the top. You could tie a bow or whatever you want. You could put flowers on it too. I decided to leave these mostly plain. To get that twine in there, twist it, and that way it won't come unwound. After I was done with the knot, I realized it just needed a few more little bits of gold, so I added that. And the whole time I'm sitting there watching that little red house, and I thought, you know what, you need some too. And I remembered the silver. So I got out some little silver bits and pieces and randomly added those all around different places on the stop that has the little red house. And that was exactly what it needed. In Partridge Lane, there's a precious little swan with a pink bow, and I found some holly that had pink berries. So I decided to put that around this stop, and I'm putting this in really super fast motion so you can watch the entire thing. It took quite a while to do, but I think it was totally worth it. It was kind of like a candy cane. You know how it twirls up, or like a barber shop pole. It really looked sharp when I was done. I made sure to burnish it, but on these I burnished with my fingers. I was just afraid that the plastic might catch on the transfers. I couldn't really figure out how to put the swan. I thought, okay, I'm centering it. No, I don't want it to be centered because then you won't see her head. So I put her off just a little bit to the left so that when you're looking straight at it and you can see the word on top of the stop, you can also see the swan. When I applied these, I started on one side and I used my transfer stick and rubbed back and forth on that and just turned it as I went. and they just kind of pulled that carrier sheet off all by themselves. It worked really great. I'll share pictures of the finished stops after this little bonus part. I wasn't going to do any of the organ keys in this video because I just did those, maybe a couple of weeks ago with the summer pictures, but how could I not do the keys? Y'all, the words in the transfer books this year are so fantastic. There's a lot of different fonts and sizes. There are different colors. There are different styles like within the same word. So when I added Merry Christmas, the M was way too big to fit on the side of the key. So I just did the main part of the M, and then I lifted up the carrier sheet so the transfer tore, and then I laid that bottom part of the M back on top of the key where it would have been if the M was smaller. And I did that with a C, I think, too, or a T, and I made some flourishes. I'm just going to let you watch this whole process, and I'll meet you back at the end when I'm done with the keys, and I'll show you all the final pictures. I have a confession to make. That video I showed you at the beginning of this project, when I took that organ apart, I actually decorated some of the stops with Christmas transfers from last year's IOD release, and then I decided not to include them in the video because I wanted to wait until today and do some more with this year's release. So in these pictures, you'll see stops from both last year and this year IOD releases. I'm also really happy that I chose to do some Christmas keys because these are going to be so pretty on anyone's Christmas tree. Project number 4. I know many of you are afraid of paint inlays, and I was just like that, but now I love them and I think they're easy. You just have to keep trying. This one is called 12th Night, and it has 8 pages of lots of different designs. My mom is going to use paint inlays for the very first time, and you know what she says? If Mama can do it, you can too. She's already painted her plaque with some paint she had at home, and now she's adding clay-based Debbie's DIY and crinoline. You want to use a clay-based paint because that's what gets the paint inlay to adhere. I'm leaving some of the original audio in this project because, well, because Mama's funny.
Is this what you do?
Yep. I forgot to tell her to get the inlay wet first, but that's okay. She's just going to use a wrung out paper towel to dab it, and that will get it wet, and then it will still adhere. So we waited for it to dry, and then we were impatient, so we got out the blow dryer. Just work. Y'all, she's blowing on it with her mouth. You funny. Hang on. Oh, goodness. You'll know it's completely dry because now it's opaque again. So she's spraying it with the water and dabbing it, and you wait about 30 seconds. Now dab it.
Dag nabbit.
Now it's ready to remove, and my aunt has joined us to watch this part, so I'm going to let you listen in.
Whoa.
Wow.
So,
Oh, look at that, sister. I'm impressed.
so there's girls who
I
say...
did it myself.
There's girls who say this is so satisfying, and I always laugh and I'm thinking, I will never say that. They say that too much. It is so satisfying. It is. I can't think of
Oh,
nothing else.
I am satisfied at last.
I've been satisfied a long time.
Oh my God.
If Mama can do it, anybody can do it.
Some people are nervous because of the price, but I did the math. At manufactured suggested retail price, each page is only $6.20. Mama's design was 69 cents. Tell them about why we picked to do these houses with this particular inlay. What?
I forgot.
Because it's like B&Bs, because it's ends keep.
Oh, okay.
These are the B&Bs that they keep.
I was born before B&B's. Long time.
Tell them where you were born.
I was born 88, 37 makes me 88.
What kind of building were you born in?
I was born in my mom's bedroom
On the Mill Hill?
on the Mill Hill. My daddy made $10 that week, and he had to pay it all to the doctor.
Wow. Mama's like a pro now with transfers. Look how good she did. She added a little tree to that, and then we sealed it with Debbie's DIY wax in clear. She also used some Snow-Tex on it, and I don't have film of that. We added a little bit of white wax around the edge, just on the tops of those half beads that encircle the whole thing. Mama wanted to add a little bit of greenery, and I think she did such a good job. She picked this out all by herself. She made a little mark so she knew where the center was, and y'all, it's beautiful. I'm so impressed with my mama's work. And you know what? She is really enjoying this. I hope y'all are enjoying visiting with us while we craft. Now check out the end product. Project number 5. I came over to our workstation and my mama was doing this one, she said, all by herself. I'm pretty sure we've switched roles. I found these wood rounds in the dumpster at the clockmaker's auction. Mama painted some and left others natural. She was disappointed in this one because she put it on the side with a burn mark, and I think it looks great, don't y'all? She picked out all these pictures and just centered them. Even if they were square, she just didn't worry about the sides. And my sweet husband put eye hooks in the top. Then Mama decorated them and added little ribbon. It's a really simple project and it's easy to understand, so I'm just going to let you watch and I'll talk to you at the end. Did you catch where Mama even did a layer on one of these? I'm telling you, she's a pro. My mama could be the big YouTube star. What do you think about these ornaments? Let us know in the comments below. I want to thank everyone so much for joining us today. This brings me so much joy, and you know what else? It brings my mama joy. I hope us working together and getting a little bird's eye view of what we do together will bring you some joy as well. We love this new release, and I hope you do too. I still don't have my website worked out, but I am prepared to do mail order over the phone at my shop. So if that's something you're interested in, let me know in the comments below or contact me on social media and we will work something out. Speaking of comments, I know I'm behind and I appreciate your grace and your patience. It has been a month. I hope you find some inspiration today, and y'all, we made a lot more stuff, so be prepared for another video of this new release coming soon. Until then, I hope you have a wonderful week. And as always, I hope you are blessed. Bye.